Welcome, welcome to episode 7 of the Vinyl Union. Say hello,
Hello, everyone.
John. We're back.
We are back. It's
Yes,
uh, it's it's felt like a long time, but it's only been a week and a bit since we recorded.
it has, yeah.
But it's been a busy old time. Sorry to let anyone down that felt let down last week by by our lack of posting. If there is actually anyone out there that felt let down and disappointed, please
Mm.
write in. I was a bit poorly last week. Tears, tears, tears.
Yeah,
Um,
tiny
so
violin.
um, yeah, tiny violin. So yeah, we decided to take a week off,
Mm.
um, which is a shame because we had a guest lined up last week.
Mm.
Thankfully, we've managed to reschedule and we've got that guest with us today. So he will be joining
Yes.
us any minute. So how's your last 2 weeks been?
Wow, there's so much to remember. Well, I left a job this
You left a
week.
job.
Because I start my new one on Monday. We also went to the most amazing gig ever last night at the Royal Albert Hall.
We did.
To see Queens of the Stone Age, part of their Catacombs tour, and it blew our tiny minds. Let's just
Yes,
put
it
it that
did.
way. Like it
It's
blew them.
um it's hard to describe what we witnessed, so I'm not even going to attempt to, but it's
Hmm.
absolutely not what we expected, and certainly not what I saw of them the first time round, which was
Mm.
amazing, but this was something very, very different.
Mm.
Um, I'm not sure if you can see the dog. He's
Oh, he's there.
he's
Ah,
here.
I can see his back and an ear, and
Yeah.
then he's just gone. So he made a very
He's
brief appearance. Yeah.
yeah, he's shadow hunting. So yeah,
Mm.
so it's been a busy few days. Yeah, the
Mhm.
gig last night, and the visit to Exeter last Thursday night to see the mighty
Oh,
Grecians
yes.
beat Plymouth 2-0, which was wonderful.
Yay! It was
Um,
wonderful.
yeah, and yeah, hello to Chris and Sarah down in Tavistock. We
Yeah.
we went
Hi.
to went to visit Chris last week. He has a great little record stall in the Paneer Market in Tavistock.
Mm.
Um, sorry, the dog keeps putting me off. Um, so yeah, we went down to visit them. We didn't see Sarah. She's been a bit poorly of late, but good news that she's on the mend.
Mm.
And hope to see them both again soon.
Yeah.
And this weekend we've got a trip planned to yet another record shop in Barnstable called Discovery Music, which, if
Mm.
anyone is familiar with, it's sorry Clock Tower, sorry Wax and Beans, it is my personal favorite record store in the country. So I'm dead excited to be going there this
It's
weekend.
very good.
Yeah, but aside from that, our usual shout outs to Matthew and Mel.
Mhm.
Hello.
Hello.
And yeah, so I guess without further ado, we should let our guest in, shouldn't we?
Yes. Yes.
So this young man, he's been a friend of ours for a number of years.
Hmm.
We met him whilst he was working at Wax and Beans up in Bury, the wonderful music record stroke coffee stroke restaurant place.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and he's become a good friend. And it was a while ago that I told him about my record scoring project, album scoring project. And he suggested that we turn it into a podcast. And we talked about it for a while, then we kind of shelved it as we moved house and what have you. But yeah, then lo and behold, we turned it into a podcast, and here we are. So it felt only right that we invited Ed on as our first ever guest. So, with
Mm.
the wonder of technology and the tinterweb. I'm going to hit a button and we should see young Ed.
Hopefully we can see him.
There he is.
Woo! He's there.
Okay, so with the wonder of technology, Ed has joined us all the way from where are you living now?
Reddish, just outside of Stockport.
Stockport.
In
My
Stockport?
part of the world.
Absolutely.
I'm
Yeah,
abs I'm outnumbered tonight.
you are. Two
So
northerners and a southerner.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So welcome along to the Vinyl Union, Ed.
Thank you for having me.
As it was your brainchild, I thought it was only right to have you on as our first guest.
Absolutely. I
Um,
remember I was driving around in Scotland and you were messaging me at the time saying how would be a good way to do this. And I remember thinking, oh, a podcast would be good. I think it's a better way to talk to other people about it rather than just writing it
yeah.
down. It's nicer to share music with people rather than just keep it personal,
hmm
I think. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And the glory of it is that we've been doing our albums, and I've been creating my own list of albums over the last year, 18 months, and doing it myself. And obviously, we started the podcast with albums that we love and admire. But the best thing about bringing a guest on is that we're asking them to bring the album with them.
Mm.
absolutely.
So this was
He's
tonight's
got it
album
ready.
was your choice.
Absolutely.
Um, So I guess, Ed, I'm gonna give you a minute or so to introduce the album and tell us exactly why you brought it along to this listening party.
The
Here it
England Keep
is.
My Bones by Frank Turner, and anyone who knows me knows of my love of Frank Turner. Came out when I was in college, so just trying to. It was around about the time I was discovering new artists that weren't just like Blink 182, Green Day, because I was in a sort of like a rut of just listening to the same thing again and again. And my sister was at uni at the time, so she recommended Frank Turner to me. So I started listening to him, and I think just as my mind was starting to develop like a bit politically as well around that time, and some of his earlier albums, the lyrics and that spoke to me quite a bit. And I just felt his lyrics were just very down to earth and relatable. So I started listening to him, and then Keep My Bones came out uh, in 2011, and it was like a transgressionary time for him as well. So it started to, that's what sort of put him on a bit more of a mainstream trajectory. And this little artist that I'd sort of kept to myself was then in the charts, like the top 20, I think this album debuted in. And it was just really cool. And like the songs have just spoke to me, and I've enjoyed them, seeing them live just over countless times over the years. And yeah, it's an album I still listen to this day. The inspiration of one of my first tattoos as well, I think,
Okay.
that I went and
Ah.
sneakily got without telling my parents and didn't tell them about it for ages. But it's just full of like really nice songs about England. I'm not a patriotic person, but to me, this is what patriotism should be. Rather than, I'm not going to get into politics too much. You see it
Yeah,
too
that's
much on the news, but I think this is the nice side of patriotism, where you should appreciate where you come from and how nice your country can be, rather than listening to what other people have to say about it. But you've seen the
Mm.
stuff I post about politics online, and I'm not going to get into it because I know that's
No.
negative. So,
it's all about the music, Ed.
Yeah, it's all about the
absolutely.
music.
But I do get what you're saying.
But yeah, it just gave me like a bit of a connection to being from England, and I've sort of like probably my only connection to it is through music. But that's all I'm
Mm.
going to say on that matter, I think. But it's just a great
Mhm.
album, and I've loved it ever since it came out, and I've seen it perform live once, and that was amazing. And I've probably gone over a minute there, but
We'll let you off.
Well, thanks for the introduction to the album, Ed, and thanks for bringing it along.
Yeah.
We've given it a listen a
yeah,
few times.
Several listens actually, yes.
We've scored it as we normally would, and
Hmm.
so I guess all that's left to do now is to start going through it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
awesome.
So you've seen the format, Ed. You know how it works. So
I
and this is Eulogy.
Not everyone grows up to be an astronaut. Not everyone was born to be a king. Not everyone can be Freddie Mercury. Everyone can raise a glass and sing.
Okay, so that was track one, Eulogy by Frank Turner from the album England Keep My Bones. So, Ed, over to you.
Well, the short, bittersweet introduction, I think. It's about acceptance. Uh, Most of us live ordinary lives, and I think what the main thing to take away from it is that is okay. It's a humble reminder that, value isn't found in fame or glory, but in how we live as people. And it sets a tone of morality and self-reflection that runs through the album. And that's just what I've always really liked about it. I think it's a nice little simple opener.
Hmm.
And it sort of feels like a warm hug, like with the horn music at the start. I don't know if that's just me being a northerner and brass music sort of.
No, I get that. I
That's
get
all.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it's like a warm hug, and that brass bit reminds me of Christmas Carol as well. And that's why I've always liked it.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, it sticks with me as well because it's about like, you don't need to worry about where you are in life. A
Mm.
few years ago, I had a massive accident that resulted in me breaking my leg, and I lost quite a big opportunity with it. I didn't really know where I stood, ironically. Um, but yeah, it's just whenever I've listened to that, it's just sort of helped me realize that I can keep a level head with things, and I've got to where I am now,
Mm.
despite what happened to me a few years ago. But that's just why I've always liked it. And when it's performed live, something excellent's gonna ensue following that song.
Mm. Yeah, when I make light of things, it's not through disrespect or anything, but it's funny you should mention that and the northern thing because one of the notes I made when I first, looked started listening to the album was it reminded me of the Hovis advert, you know,
Wow.
which ironically I think was filmed down here, down this
Was it?
way. I think it was, yeah. Someone can. I think it was filmed in Shaftesbury. Am I right?
You're not
I
gonna
don't
believe
know.
this, but I was talking about that advert earlier.
Were you
No
really?
Yeah, because
way.
I think Ridley Scott directed it.
What the?
The
The Hovis
Hovis
advert.
ad.
He used to
Right.
Are
direct the
you
Hovis advert.
jesting now?
We need
Genuinely not.
to. We need some information on this because I'm pretty sure it was filmed down here, but I could be wrong.
We're gonna have to
But yeah,
Google it.
but it reminded me of the Hovis advert, and then it kind of morphed into. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but um, Sting released an album a few years ago called The Last Ship, which was a sort of autobiographical story of him growing up in a shipyard, basically a
Right.
shipyard town. And it's
Mm,
got that sort of folky brass sound throughout the whole album. And it
mm.
very much reminded me of that. And almost a theatrical sort of setting to it. It felt like a an opening of a stage show. It's
Yeah, you
quite
can imagine the curtains opening as you start singing, sort
absolutely,
of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting start to an album. It's not a typical start to an album for sure, but it was enjoyable. Um, for the record, I scored it an 8.
Mm,
Um, Leanne,
yeah. I scored it a 7. Yeah, so I love the lyrics. I gave that a 2, and I gave it a 2 for the intro as well because I love the intro and everything else a 1. But that comment that you just made there, Ed, about it feeling like a warm hug, I get that with songs all the time. I think I've actually mentioned it on this podcast at some point, that just when songs envelop you like that, and it's a short song, isn't it? It's a
mm,
short start to the album, but yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head there. I think it's a great way to open the album. But yeah, I gave it a 7 overall. Um,
I also gave it a 7, just because it's like more of like a move boost for the rest of the album sort of
mm,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
Like
and a
that little
seven's a good
taster.
score, right? A 7 is a
Yeah,
is a very good
it's a
score when
high
you look
7. I
at
know
it.
sometimes 7 can
Yeah,
seem a bit middling, but
yeah,
make like a
yeah,
high 7 because I think what
yeah,
what comes after it's incredible. So,
right. Yeah, no, I get that. So what did you score it on each of the
so
like
the
intro and hook and the
intro
rest?
I gave it a 2,
Yeah,
but I
like
gave it a
me.
1. musicianship one, lyrics two, and then wow one. I think that's fair for that.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Thank you very
Okay,
much. Thank you very much, Edward.
so moving on.
Hmm.
Now we've enjoyed the Mooj Booge. We're going on to track two, which is Peggy Sang the Blues.
Peggy came to me in my sleep in the middle of the night on a Friday night last week. She whispered hot shout.
So that was track two. Peggy sang the blues. Right, Ed, who's Peggy?
So
Tell us about
this
this.
song is inspired by his late grandmother, who I think
Okay.
died around the recording of this album,
Oh, that's sad.
or a few years before it. I'm not 100% sure, but
Mhm.
it's just what he said about it in interviews and on like videos I've seen.
Okay.
But it's a song about resilience, optimism, and living well despite hardship. It's tribute to wisdom passed down through generations and the kind of folk morality that doesn't quite rely on religion, just humanity.
Mhm.
And again, it's a song that, like Eulogy, it's a song that has a warmth to it, and it encapsulates the feeling we get with grandparents who are there to give good perspective. Um, yeah, and because they've been around much longer than we have, and I just think it's a really nice song, and it sets the tone for the entire album. And what I really like about Frank Turner's lyrics is, if you're singing about somebody who's passed away after you've heard that song, it makes you feel like you've known them,
Mm. Yeah.
which I think is a really good testament to his lyricism. He's got quite a few songs that are much sadder than this one, and
Mm.
after it, you're just there like, oh, I wish I've known this person, but through like the memory and the lyrics, you feel like you've known them for years.
Mm.
But yeah, always like leaves. I'm always left with a smile, like when I see it live and when I hear it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Cool. So
my two
what,
cents on
in
that
terms
song.
of scoring then, what did you score that as?
But I gave it a 9.
Yeah.
Um,
And what did you score it as
intro.
a one then with
What's
everything
that?
else?
Sorry.
So what did you score it as a one then? So
Just
all the
I
others.
scored it as a 1 on Wow, just
Oh,
because
okay. Okay.
like it's a song that I love, but it's not one that
Yeah.
blows you away. I think,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
No,
it's
I
just
get that.
the sentiment to it. I think is what gives it its high score that I've given it.
Cool. Cool. So, John, what about you?
I kind of feel bad now because of the whole sentiment behind his dead nan, but
Oh God.
um, well, look, I think what's clear with this album is that he's definitely trying to do something different. He's clearly folk inspired, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Some of my favorite artists are folk. Some of them have been inspired by folk, and I love folk music. So I don't have a problem with that. Um, and I love the fact that he's mixing genres. He's blending different genres into the folk sort of foundation, shall we call
Mm.
it? And that's great. And to do that, it needs to be produced really well, which it is. The
Mm.
album production from track one to the final track is great. There's no getting away from that. It's really well produced. Again, you know me, Ed, you'll know this by watching the podcast and talking to me. I'm not so in tuned into lyrics as much as clearly Leanne is, and you, Ed. I'm 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 much more about the music and the craft behind
Yeah,
the music and the production and the music writing. That's just what I prefer. And it's clearly a commercially sort of aimed track, which I don't think it certainly is not where it ends on this album. And God forgive me for what I'm about to say.
Oh gosh, prepare yourself.
From the first moment I listened to that song, and we were in the car actually, and I
We
said
were.
it to Leanne, and
Mm.
and I said, unfortunately, it's given me McFly vibes,
ooh, controversial.
Oh.
and 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 for that reason, I kind of lost interest in it. And I know people love McFly, and I know our our friend Jared will hate me for saying this. I don't like them for many a reason, but it once I thought it, I couldn't unthink it,
That's fair enough.
and I thought, no, I can't give this more than a six, and that's what I scored. I'm sorry, but yeah, I apologize more for the McFly comparison because if you know, I know you're friends with the guy Ed, and please don't. Well, you're going to share this with him, so I, I'm sorry, Mr. Turner, that I compared you to McFly, but I'm all about being honest. Um, and
Yeah.
I know a another very good friend of mine called Alistair is a massive Frank Turner fan, and he'll no doubt listen to this, and he'll be swearing at the screen or the speaker as we speak now that I've compared them to McFly. But yeah, it's you know it's commercial, it's well produced, it's well written, but yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Leanne, start
Oh,
talking. Get me out
I'm
of the
so,
hole.
well, I don't. I think your hole's quite deep right now. So I agree that this is very commercial. I believe it was a second single off the album, so I did do a bit of research, Ed. I
I'm
was
glad you
relying
did
on
that.
you to bring the goods.
I actually didn't.
Did you?
Well,
Second single.
there we
Yeah,
go.
so there we go. And it feels like a single, when you hear it, it feels
Yeah.
like a single. It's very sort of sing along. And I scored it a seven. I scored it a
That's
seven. Because, it is well produced. Um, I love the lyrics. You know what I'm like with lyrics. Love it. So yeah, so I've scored it a seven. I'm just looking at what I gave it a one for wow, and a one for the intro, but I gave it twos for the rest. So yeah, it's a seven from me. So there you go.
Okay.
I give it one for wow as well, and then the rest was all two.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, you have because we just looked on the spreadsheets. Yeah, but yeah, so we thought alike there. But yeah, it's a seven, which I still think is a great score because I gave that to the first song as well. So yeah, yeah.
Okay. Right.
Let's move on. And we won't mention the M word. The
Quick,
M.
quickly moving on to track three,
Yeah, yeah.
which is I Still Believe.
Hey, yay, friends and Romans, countrymen. Hey, yay, punks and skins and journeymen. Hey, yay, my sisters.
Okay, so that was track three, I Still Believe. So I think I'll go first just to get it out of the way.
Go on.
Um,
Oh.
I'm sorry, we're still in McFly territory here,
No.
even more than the previous track. Again, that's not me saying it's a bad track. It's not a bad track. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. It's just I'm getting vibes, and as you know, when you get a vibe about something, it kind of it influences how you think. Um, but that aside, um, it still retains its element of folk. So for me, it helps it keeps its head above water in a way. Um, but really love that line. I still believe in need guitars, in the need for guitars, drums, and desperate poetry. And I just think that's a really strong statement, especially, Ed, you've already touched on it. That musically, these songs help us sort of takes us away from the depressed state of society, and and it's the honesty of music which keeps us coming back for more and more. And it's true, there is still a need for guitars, drums, and desperate poetry,
Absolutely.
Mm.
and it's what is true about music, and what keeps it real. And any song that pays reference to Johnny Cash and Jerry Lee Lewis is good for me. So I've scored it a 6 again. Yeah, that's probably the last time I will mention McFly if it's any
Yeah.
consolation. All right, and we'll move on.
Go on. Let's hand this one to Ed. I'll come back
Oh,
later because I want to listen to Ed now.
I do believe that this song is his magnum opus. I think there's many songs off his that could be given that title, but
Hmm.
for me, this one takes the top spot. Um, this is an astounding number, but I've seen him 36 times live,
Oh, really? Gosh.
and 34 of those times he has performed this song.
Wow.
And it just hits the same every time. It's anthemic. It's a rallying cry for the redemptive power of music. He calls
Hmm.
for unity through shared experience, saying that belief doesn't have to be religious. It's found in art, connection, and authenticity. And again, I just feel every time it comes on, I can't be still. Like watching it, I was quite well reserved then. Uh, I think it's an instant pick me up. I don't know how many times I've listened to it, but I get that same euphoric feeling um, every time I hear it. Shouting "I Still Believe" is one of the best things about seeing him live when thousands of others are doing the same thing. And I think it was the first time I actually started paying attention to lyrics in songs.
Mm.
Um, again, it came out at a time where I was going through formative years, and I realised that you can be moved by lyrics. And that bit where he says everyone has a song for every time they've won and lost. This one's
Hmm.
mine, I think.
Mm.
Um, and for the first time through music, it made me realise that the people who listen to Frank Turner are the kind of people that I want to like hang around, like not the people who at Urbis, which is what my sort of music genuinely would have been seen
Hmm.
hanging, where they would have been seen hanging around in Manchester. But yeah, and I just think through like going to Frank Turner shows and stuff, I've become friends with some people who I have to call my best friends. And yeah, like I said, it's just all about the coming together through music.
Hmm. Okay. And so, do I guess right if I say he scored it a 10, or is
Oh
that
yeah,
is that
it
yeah?
was across the board here.
I
Yeah,
knew it. I knew it because in the way you were talking about it, I was like, he's bound to have scored this a 10. But that's great because for me, it kind of feels like an anthem.
yeah,
Like, obviously, I don't know him as well as you do, but I would imagine, considering he's played it, what, 34 times out of the 36 you've seen him,
yeah,
that this is some sort of anthem and something that his fans want him to play.
yeah.
I'd be
I don't
right
think I've
in
ever known
saying
anyone not
that. Okay.
enjoy the song live.
Yeah. And it's got a real, like, good sort of vibe to it. It's, it feels really good. And in sort of the same way as Peggy sang the blues, I've scored a 7. Because it's really upbeat and lyrically as well, you said. So for me, so straight sevens for the first 3 songs. Don't worry, my numbers do change.
Right.
My numbers do change, but I can see where you're coming from now that you've explained it a little bit more. And this is all part of doing this podcast as well and inviting people
Oh
on
yeah,
to
nice
do
hearing other
different
people.
albums. I didn't know this album at all like 2 weeks ago. But I've listened to it and listened to it and listened to it, and I can kind of see that now. So that's really good to know the
It's nice
story
hearing
behind
other people talk about it because obviously I've been in this Frank Turner echo chamber for the
it.
last
Yeah.
15 years, so it's nice to
Yeah.
actually talk to people who wouldn't be like your typical Frank Turner listeners. So I
Yeah.
think it's always cool just hearing what other people think about him. And
Yeah.
years ago, I'd have been like, "Oh, how can you say this is a number seven?" But it's just again, it's what the podcast's for, and it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all think
Definitely.
about music and stuff.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
cool then. Excellent.
All right. Let's move on then. So where are we? We are going on to track 4, which is called Rivers. Okay, that was track 4 called Rivers. Leanne, I think we'll let you start this one off.
Yeah, okay. So, I really like this song. I really, really do. And I think it's to do with, so I scored it an 8 because I just think it's a wonderful song and it's talking about, the geography of rivers and how much he loves them. And as somebody who's a tree lover and a nature lover, it just really, really spoke to me. I know that sounds really weird and strange, but also, um, I don't know, maybe I'm reading into things, and I don't know, Ed, maybe you can enlighten me on this, but I kind of feel like, yes, he's talking about rivers, and yeah, that can be quite literal, but I'm wondering if there's some metaphors in there. I do like a good metaphor, like the flow of a river. I don't know. You know more about the history of this album, so you can kind of let me know if I'm on the right track. But I just think it's a really great folk song, and there's kind of a Celtic sort of vibe there, and being Irish, I've been surrounded by a lot of Celtic music. So yeah. So yeah, I scored it an 8. I really like that song. I really, really do. So I'm lead over to you because you might enlighten me on it.
So, on this song, we're hearing Frank celebrating England's physical geography. It's like
Mm,
rivers symbolize movement of life and renewal.
right.
They start in the country and they go on to something bigger and it's a much bigger like world, don't they? So like going out to
Yeah.
sea.
Yeah.
And it's both like both a literal and metaphorical reminder that home isn't static, but it's something that flows through us.
Hmm.
Because like for me, like obviously I'm from Rochdale, that's my home, but I like traveling around places and now like weirdly Stockport is now my home. And it's just a nice sort of like you flow like a river through life essentially, don't you? Like you don't actually know where you could end up. But I think
True.
it's really nice. Yeah, I think it's a really nice bit of calm after some rowdiness
Hmm.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
I Still Believe and shows off his talent of being able to do really cool anthemic tracks with the punk heartbeat and then still be able to uphold his folk roots that started from his debut album, which is weird considering he started his career in hardcore music.
Okay.
And I've got a limited knowledge on playing guitars, but I think John might have something to say on this one. But I've always felt it's got quite a complex sounding guitar rhythm. I've got a friend who did a cover of this song and he said he hated learning it because it was quite a difficult like chord progression. I think like I don't really play guitar, so
Hmm.
but yeah. Again, like I said at the start, I've never been patriotic and I've struggled with the concept of patriotism. But this song does make me take a step back and think that England can be a beautiful place, whether that be up here in the northwest or the southwest.
Mm.
And I think it's a good song. Um, but when you look at what else is on the record, it just falls down the pecking order a little bit for me. So I gave it a 7. But
Okay.
it's one of those ones that it's like I wouldn't put it on straight away. But if I've got his playlist on shuffle and it comes on, and keep it on, it's quite a nice song. And I listen to quite a lot of heavy and shouty music, so sometimes it's quite nice just to take a step back and listen to something quite
Okay.
soft and pokey.
So what did you score it a 1 on then? Which ones were your
Um,
ones?
I gave this one a 7 actually.
Yeah.
So intro and hook, but then musicianship, lyrics, and wow.
Right. Okay.
Oh no, wait. Intro, hook, and wow. I gave it a 1, and then
The rest
musicianship and
two.
lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool. Cool. So I gave it more than you. Wow.
yeah.
That's a surprise. Right, John.
Um, yeah, now this is more up my street, I've already discussed, about how he genre hops but stays true to his folk roots, whereas this is a real display of great folk music. You're right, Ed. It's a complex guitar playing. Um, it the first time I heard it, it reminded me musically. It reminded me of a bit of Lindisfarne, which for me they're one of the quintessential folk bands. But also his vocal delivery reminded me a lot of Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull, which again is a gives it a massive tick from me because two bands that I love. And yeah, and I really love the way the vocals are produced for this song. It's very, very true to the genre. It really does pay very respectful homage to the folk industry. And yeah, you're right in mentioning the Celtic connection, because folk music is historically built on Celtic foundations, but and who doesn't love a fiddle? When you chuck a
Exactly. Just again, it's a warm feeling, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
you put a fiddle into any song and I'm listening. Because my love of music is born from folk music. It's born from country music. And so yeah, when you refer to the warm hug, that's exactly what I feel when I hear a guitar like that, and a vocal production the way they've done that song. Yeah, I'm all over it. I've scored it an 8.
oh,
Mhm.
nice. Would
Um,
that be because, like, being from the southwest, there's a lot of association with Celtic, a lot of Celtic stuff. Like when I've been to Cornwall and stuff like that, there's really
um,
cool stuff about like, with all the druids and like the stone circles. I don't know if I've just put that connection together in my head now, but
yeah, no,
correct me
maybe.
if I'm wrong, please.
I was brought up by grandparents that listened to folk music and to country music, and I'm always sold on storytellers,
Yeah,
and historically folk songs and country songs are all about storytellers. So that's where I will always lean towards, is people that can tell a good story in music. And that's how I felt about that song. Yeah, it's
brilliant.
a really good song, really good, you know, original take on how he sees folk music, which is brilliant. So yeah. Okay, should we move on?
Hmm.
Absolutely.
We're going on to track 5, which is called I Am Disappeared.
I keep having dreams.
Hey, that was track 5, I Am Disappeared. Ed, over to you.
Um, yeah, I love this song. Dreamlike narrative about escape and restlessness. It draws from imagery of nightmares and daydreams, and I believe it's inspired partly by Jack Kerouac's On the Road,
Okay.
and it
Okay.
captures the tension between wanting to run away and wanting to belong, and it continues a narrative that started in an earlier album, takes place over a few albums,
Hmm.
um, about this person called Amy, who I think, for legal reasons, is named that just so there's no he's not
Right.
like name dropping someone.
Mm.
So it's about someone who was in a previous relationship with. I think this song's a masterpiece. I do have a weird love-hate relationship with this song because for my media A level, I had to do a music video and I did this song for it. And anything that could have gone wrong during filming and
Oh.
editing went wrong with it. But I sort of stuck stuck with it and just continued to make it until I got something I was quite happy with. However, apart from that, I think the lyrics to the music, from the lyrics to the music, it's just great. It gives off a dreamlike sound.
Hmm.
With like the piano in the background, it contradicts that sound with a. It sort of feels uneasy, which is, I guess, how dreams make us feel sometimes. And I remember talking to my dad about this song, and while it doesn't sound like it, we sort of like came to the agreement that it reminds us of The Great Leap Forward by Billy Bragg, because it just sort of like slowly introduces an array of different instruments at each time, and they just keep building up, and then it crescendos into something massive, and that's why I've always really liked it. But I remember the day I finished editing that music video, I actually went to go and see Frank Turner, and he performed it, and I just remember thinking, oh, I never want to hear this song ever again. But it took me
Oh
quite a
no.
while to come around to it, but yeah, it's one of those ones where it's just atmospheric and just live is just incredible. There's like sort of like
Mm.
almost electric atmosphere about the song,
Hmm.
but feels
Yeah.
weird. I obviously I like going in mosh pits at gigs, but when I see a mosh pit for this song, I'm like, I think this is one you take in this song rather than
Yeah.
go nuts at the end. But I've always, like I said, I've been in a mosh pit once or twice for this song. I've seen him enough times where I can decide whether I want to or not now. Yeah,
Mm.
my take on I Am Disappeared.
Yeah. And I'm guessing it's a 10.
It is.
Oh, yeah, thought so. The way you were talking about it, I was like, yeah, this has got to be a 10. Do you want to go next, John?
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with you, Ed. For me, it's the strongest track on the album so far. I love that chord progression intro. You know, there's certain things. Obviously, certainly from my point of view, when you're introduced to new music, I'm impatient. I want to be wowed straight away. I don't want to be wowed after three or four listens to something. I want to be
Yeah,
drawn to it immediately. And for that to happen, the song naturally needs a strong intro for me to go, okay, maybe I'm a bit narrow-minded, but I kind of make my mind up really quickly. So for a song to have a really good intro, it gets me interested and it keeps me interested. And that definitely has. Um, it's funny that you said earlier on that before listening to Frank Turner, you were listening a lot to sort of the what I call the early noughties, sort of the Blink 182, the Jimmy Eat World, that sort of sound. And that sound for me is prevalent throughout that track.
yeah.
I think it's, he's again, he's staying true to his roots, but he's morphing into a little bit of, you know, pop music with skateboard punk, emo punk, whatever it's called these days. Um, and lyrically it's clear. It's funny you say it's about wanting to run away, but at the same time find some sort of meaning and structure to your life. And you know the note I've made here is it's about someone struggling with their own conflictions, and the contradictions that they're feeling about their life. And you know yeah, I think there's real emotion behind this track. And yeah, I really like it. I scored it a 9.
No.
Yeah, I was really, really impressed with it. It grabbed me from the first 5 seconds of the song, and it kept me interested for the whole 4 minutes and 40 seconds. It's a wonderful track.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I have to agree. I scored it a 9 as well. This is one of my favorite tracks on the album, and it's also I've played it so much that my DJ on Spotify has now started sticking it in my in my playlists. So that just shows you how much I've listened to it. But the thing about it for me is when the first time the piano comes in, I think it's about one
Mm.
minute 30, and that piano comes in and it gives me goosebumps. And I was just like, it's so nice. It just feels such a good, I just love it. I think it's a great song. And you're talking about the lyrics there and about, I wonder it's a bit of a juxtaposition, but how many albums did he have before this, Ed? I mean, he would have been a
This
touring
is his fourth
musician.
album.
That was his fourth album. So it's almost like he's done this album talking about being English and the patriotic side of it. But then you've got the part of Frank Turner, I'm guessing that's a touring musician that hasn't got roots,
Yeah,
that's touring around. And so it's kind of that juxtaposition between the two as well, which I thought was quite good. I mean, that's the way I read things into songs, and maybe they're not there and maybe they are, but I just think it's a beautiful song. Really
Well,
is.
technically, I'm not outnumbered, am I? Because he's from down this way. He's from the New Forest, isn't he? I think.
from Winchester. Yeah,
Yeah,
Winchester.
so
Okay.
yeah, so it's south, so we'll take that. Yeah, it's funny you pay reference, Leanne, to the piano because it gave me
Mm.
the same sort of vibes and goosebumps that the Blink 182 track "Miss You." Is it
Yeah.
called "Miss
oh
You"?
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
got that same sort of piano sort of subtlety and just yeah, gets you in the feels.
Oh, there it is. There it is. I'm moving on.
Okay, yeah, we are moving on. Um, we're on track six. So, how many tracks are on the album? 12. So yeah,
Wow.
we are coming up to the halfway point. So, track six, which is called English Curse.
Many years back when these old oaks were young, not long after the Northmen had come, a low and evil deed was done in the dark of the New Forest, in the dark of the New Forest.
Okay, so that was track six, English Curse. Leanne, I think you should start with this one as you're the statistician. And I'm sure, like me,
Hmm.
you looked up what he was talking about.
Um, yes, and I'm guessing it's to do with King William II because that's what it
Yeah,
told me. So I'm hoping it is.
William the
But yeah,
Conqueror, I believe.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And obviously it's probably the most traditional folk song on the whole of the album, a
Hmm.
cappella. Um, and I've heard other songs like this, and I think he does a really good job. But don't shout at me, Ed. But this is my lowest scoring song on the album. It's not that I
But
don't like it. It's that it's not something that I would personally choose to go and often listen to. Do you get what I mean? I think it's really well
yeah,
done.
my lowest scoring one as well.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah, because I've
Yeah,
given it a 6, which I think is a respectable score.
exactly the same. I've given it a 6 as well.
Because lyrically and wow factor, I've given it a 2 because it still pulls you in for the nature of the fact that it's traditional folk. And I like that. I like that. So, and it's quite a short song as well. But yeah, it's not one of my favorites on the album, it has to be said. But at the same time, I've given it kudos because of what it's doing and the fact that he's embracing traditional folk music. Um, and the history element as well, because I'm a bit of a history buff. So there you go.
I've already got
But
the history element. Yeah, so.
yeah, so it's a 6 from me. Yeah, so I don't know. Should we go? Let's go to you, Ed, because we've already been chatting anyway. We
Um,
jump.
but yeah, I gave it a 6 as well, because there's not much you can actually score it on apart from like
Yeah,
lyrics and like wow factor,
yeah,
I guess. But
yeah.
yeah, I sort of feel quite tight giving it such a low score because
Don't feel
I
too
do
bad.
like the song a lot, but
Yeah.
it's traditional folk ballad telling a mythical tale of
Mm,
land ownership and revenge in like old England. It's a critique of entitlement and conquest connected to England's history with like a moral idea that the land belongs to everyone and not kings or rulers. And like
mm,
I keep going back to like that's my idea of patriotism,
yeah.
sort of thing. But I think it's really cool that it is an a cappella track that
Yeah.
features on quite what at the time was his most mainstream album.
Mm,
I've never heard an a cappella song on an album before. I'd listened to this one, and I think it's placed really well on the album between 5 and 7 because both of those tracks are really intense. So I think it's a really good way of
right.
bridging those two songs together rather than having like a 1-2 punch of both of them together.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, what did you give it for musicianship and hook and intro then? I'm guessing you gave it 2s for
Um,
the others.
Intro 1, hook 1, musicianship 1, then lyrics 2, and then wow
Yeah.
1.
Okay. Cool.
Saw
Oh,
it
so you
live
give it,
once, and
yeah.
it was a good place, like because I've been battered by
Yeah.
mathematics all night. And then when he did that one, it was nice to have a breather. Do we say?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. Right then, John, what did you make of it?
Well, I'll make you both feel a little bit better about yourselves. I scored it a 7. Um, yeah, I gave it to, obviously, it is hard to score because it
Mm,
is a cappella, but I think the wow factor was there with his vocal delivery and the fact he was telling a historic tale.
mm,
Lyric, I gave it a 2, and then once for the others. But I love history as you both do, and and I think it's a wonderful tale. I listened to it and immediately looked up what it was about, and it's about, not just William the Conqueror, about, it's part of British history that, the wealthy kings and landowners would got their wealth and land by stealing it from the poor, and these group of locals basically decided to put a curse on the family, and everyone that come along mysteriously died, so I think there is, reading up on it, I believe there is some historical inaccuracies about it, given the fact that something to do with the name of his firstborn wasn't actually Rufus.
My
um
dad has told me this before. I wish I'd
yeah.
messaged him about it before recording this because every time he hears that song, he tells me like, "Oh, well, he wasn't actually called Rufus the Red."
Yeah, so yeah, his first son, I believe, was William, and Rufus was either his second or third son. But yeah, I just think it's a great little story that, these locals cursed the family for nicking their lands. But yeah, I think it's a Ed, you've already said it. It's a great way to. I don't know where the split is on the record. I don't know if this is the final track of side one, but
I
if
think
it
it
is,
might be.
it
Yeah.
seems it
But
seems the perfect place to
Mm.
finish. Side A. So yeah, it's a 7 from me. I enjoyed that. So let's go to track 7 then. One foot before the other.
On the very day I die, the very last of my desires is that.
So that was track 7, one foot before the other, and I'm going to defer straight to Edward on this one.
I want to know first, does this hold up to John's theory about being Trick Seven?
Oh.
Oh, so you've
I
thrown it.
see. I
Um, I
see.
I think it does because I scored it a 9.
Very good.
So
I give
I
it a 9 also.
so yeah, I think it
Ah,
does. I think it does lead up to the track 7 theory myself.
As soon as I heard you
okay.
say that on that first episode, I was like, so when I realised what album I was going to do, I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to put a mental reminder to ask it." But yeah, one foot before the other. Song about death and defiance. It's about Frank Turner imagining his own funeral, exploring the fear of dying without faith rather than despair. He embraces physical existence and wanting his body to be buried and his atoms to go back to where he's come from. I think that's quite a powerful statement, to be honest. And weirdly, when I was younger, I didn't really particularly like this song. But as I've got older, you sort of relate to it a bit more the more you think about life, I guess. I guess at the time, I didn't think folk punk should be this heavy. I think it should either just be like a little bit shouty, but not like in your face and stuff. But and it put me off listening to this song for a while. But I've just come to grow to love the messages over the years, and it's unbelievable live. And I think that's sort of like when I saw this album performed all the way through, and this song it finally like struck a chord with me, and I was like, okay, I was wrong about this song, and I'm happy to admit that I was. But glad I'm where I am with it now. And musically, I think it's one of Frank Turner's stronger songs on the album and shows a darker side to what is otherwise quite a positive sounding album. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I think it's a really strong song, and the fact that he is sort of chucking punk music into folk is wonderful. As there's not many artists that are that brave to advertise the fact that they are very deep rooted in a particular genre, but not have to have the balls to throw other genres at it and make it work. So yeah, kudos to him. It's a really strong track. I know I love the raw guitar sound to it, and as you know, and anyone else that listens to it, I'm very very much about the guitar sound on records, and yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with stepping outside of what's deemed appropriate for a certain genre. And yeah, fair play to him.
Cool. Cool.
What do you think?
See, you both scored at a 9 then, didn't you? So I've
Yes.
got your scores, John, so I know. But Ed, what did you score at a 1 out then out of all of those if you scored at a
Um,
9?
Wait, where's the one?
All right.
On the hook, there's never
On
been
the
like
hook. Hmm.
lyrics that are where I think, oh yeah, this is one foot before the other. It's more of a song that I listen
Mm.
to rather than remember about because I
Yeah.
wouldn't be my go-to song just to put on from the bat. But then when it comes on, I'm
Hmm.
like, yeah,
You're
this is
there.
a really good song. We're keeping it on,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Okay, that makes sense. So, overall, I gave it a 7. It, which is still a good score. I've said this so many times about a 7, but I still love it, and I think musically it's great. And also, I've given it a 2 for the hook. I give it a 2 for the hook because I thought it's got a hook, but one's for everything else. So I've scored it a 7. I think it's a good track. It's a good solid track. So yeah, so that's me really. I think you've said pretty much everything that there is to say about it. It's about mortality. I could have mentioned about that, but you've covered it far more eloquently than I did, than I can. So there you go.
Okay, so let's move on to track 8, shall we, folks?
Yep.
So track 8, If Ever I Stray.
Forgive me, someone, for I have sinned, and I know not where I should begin. And some days it feels like you just can't win, no matter what you do or say. Things didn't kill me, but I don't.
That was track 8, If Ever I Stray. I think I'll start with this one, folks. So it kind of follows the same structure as the previous track, I think. A nice sort of folky start going into something a lot heavier. I guess it's almost like a part 2 to One Foot Before the Other. But it's still a great job blending the styles. Comes across maybe a little safe at times, but it's still
Mm.
certainly enjoyable and accessible. Yeah. What did I score it? Yeah, scored it a 9, the same
Mm.
as the other one.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think like I said, it follows the same sort of pattern, but it ultimately still delivers for me. So yeah, 9.
Okay. I'll quickly go and then we'll leave it with Ed as the last, if that's all right, Ed. I've given this an 8. I really like this, and this was the third single of the album, if my research is correct. Um, and yeah, I love it's the uplifting power that it has, and when he talks about being, chucked into the English Channel and being dragged back to shore. I really love those lyrics. I think they're really great. Yeah, it feels like a very reflective song as well from him. It feels like there's things he's thinking about there. And I just think it's a really upbeat song, and you can tell that it's more one of the more commercial ones, which is why they released it as a single. But yeah, it's overall it's an 8 from me. What about you, Ed? What do you think about this one?
I give this one a 10.
Ah, maximum score. Go on then.
And I've always liked the fact that the English Channel acts as both a literal and symbolic place of cleansing and renewal. Um, I think it's just a great feel good song, and it always lifts my mood when I
Hmm.
listen to it, and it lifts the album's mood as well compared to what came before it as well. Um, it's just great energy. There's never been a moment listening to this song where I wanted to just like punch my fist in the air. Like there's that bit toward the end where it's just the drums. It's just that it's just for everyone to clap their hands like along to it live, and it's just really fun. And again, the brass section speaks to my little
Yeah.
northern soul. So, yeah,
Don't blame me on that one. Cool. Awesome.
I just remember seeing this song live, and my mum knocked my phone out of my hand while I was trying to film it, and I missed the
Really?
song because I was trying to find my SIM card and battery off the sticky floor of Manchester Apollo.
Oh, the Apollo. Oh, good
Yeah,
venue.
luckily because the floor
Yeah.
was so sticky, it was all just there. So, but loads
Yeah,
of
it
other
hasn't gone
people
anywhere.
there with the torches. So, but yeah,
Brilliant.
but my mum just was so enraptured with the music, she had no idea what had just happened.
Oh, right.
And I
Bless
was like, oh, I would have enjoyed that song if someone had not sent my phone flying. Like,
her. Brilliant. You can always count on Manchester venues for having sticky floors. It's a bit like the Ritz, isn't it? Yeah, or the Academy
kind of
even.
liked it. But
Yeah. Great stuff. Awesome.
Okay, we are heading into track 9, which is called Wessex Boy.
Let me tell you all a little story of the things I've found.
So that was track 9, Wessex Boy. And I'm going to go straight to Ed on this one. I want to know what you think about this track straight off the bat.
I really like this song. Nostalgic ode to home and belonging, and you got Frank reminiscing about his roots in Winchester and celebrating the sense of comfort that comes from community and familiarity. And I think anyone who listens to this song can relate to it. I can imagine you would as well, Leanne, because you moved down to
Yep,
Southwest, and then obviously when
that's
you come home, you always get this really nice
yeah,
feeling of going home, don't you?
yeah, yeah,
And I do too. I mean, I've only moved down the road, but like, I come from Rochdale, doesn't have a great reputation, but I've always felt a sense of belonging when there. It's sort of like no one else can bully it, but I can bully it. That's like where I'm from,
yeah.
and it's just a really nice song. And I once met a Frank Turner fan, asked her out on a date, and we went to all the locations in
Oh,
Winchester,
really?
like on this song, and we just got really drunk, and it was a really nice night out. And asked her out at the end of the date, and she said no.
Oh
And
no! Oh
it was
no!
more of a wanting to be friends sort of thing. So I wasn't
Yeah.
like I didn't feel offended by it. You know,
Mm,
it was a night. I've always like have a nice memory of that night, and we
mm.
stayed friends for a little bit
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just again the feeling of warmth in this song, like there have been throughout
Mm,
a few others, and I think there's just some really nice melodies in it.
yeah.
That it's quite a simple song, but um, everyone can relate to it. I think.
Yeah.
I got this feeling a lot when I was in uni in Southampton, so it was cool to be able to know, oh, I know where all these places are that you're singing about because it's just down the road. So whenever I would go home on the train, like at Christmas time, I'd listen to the song as like a little tradition.
Mm,
And yeah, it's just like I just have very nice memories of this song and the bit at the end where he's going, but that's
yeah.
really nice live when everyone else
Yeah.
sings along to it. There's just something very pleasant about it.
Oh, I
So
think that's lovely. And yeah, I kind of agree with you. So in terms of scoring then, is this another high one?
I gave it an 8 just because
Okay.
in intro and wow, I've got gave ones on it, and then I think
Yeah.
for
Everything
hook,
else is two,
musicianship,
yeah.
and lyrics, two's
Mm,
across the board there, just
yeah.
because they all just come together to make a very very delightful song. I think.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you on that. And you'll be pleased to know I scored it a 9 because
Very good.
I really love the song. And I think you hit the nail right on the head there, Ed, when you were talking about home. It doesn't matter that he's talking about, a specific place. It's the fact that he's talking about home and everybody can relate to that, and where they've come from and be proud of where they've come from, whether or not they've made their home somewhere else since, as I have. I've got two homes now, and that's good because I've got choices. I can go and visit people in Manchester, but I've got my life and home in the
Yeah, absolutely.
Southwest. And that goes the same like you were saying. I know you've only moved down the road, but still you've moved to a different area of Manchester, of Greater Manchester, and it's new. But
Yeah,
you're
and like
making a
a few years
home.
back, I moved
Mm,
up to Lake District a few years back, and I never
right.
felt like from there. But now I'm back in this area. Like I always have them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, and I'm sure that John, you can relate to that in some sense because you're a Weymouth boy. I'll say boy, man, boy. But you moved,
I'll
haven't
take
you?
that.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess you can relate to that in a way as well. So I'll hand over to you on that.
Yeah, I guess so. A bit like you, Ed.
Mm.
I've moved about a fair bit, but I've never really drifted too far
Mm.
from my roots. I am a Wessex boy, born and bred, and I've lived by the sea my entire life, and this is the furthest inland I've ever lived. This is the only time where I've ever woken up, looked out the window, and not seen the sea. It's a
wow.
but yeah, but I get it. I've scored this an 8 as well.
Mm.
Lyrically, I'm not a fan. I found it a little bit corny and safe. But that's just
That's
my
fair enough.
opinion. But
Mm.
musically, I think it's excellent. Great bit of guitar work on it as well. Yeah, so yeah, very much enjoyed that track.
Cool.
Very nostalgia. Okay, folks. So off we go to track 10. Nights Become Days.
We saw in the dawn from the roof of the bar. When nights become days, then you've gone to.
Okay, that was track 10. Night Becomes Days. Ed, all yours.
Um, quite a slow, melancholic track reflecting on change, regret, and growth. It's about moving through dark times and coming out on the other side. And the quiet moments of acceptance follow like upheaval of life, I guess. I think it's just a really nice song, I think. But I've always got the impression that when you look at the lyrics, it's about him and a friend of his that grew up having a particular lifestyle and then Frank left that particular part of life, and his friend tried to stay behind, reliving the glory days, and would never quite get that high, really, that chasing the high that they once had when they were younger. And it's quite moving when you think about that because there are some people who like still have that life, who still want to chase those moments that are never going to be quite as good as it was when you first experience it. And it's about wanting to bring this person along with you and getting them out of the dark and getting them back onto living a much nicer way of life. I think it's a really moving track, but I scored it a 7.
All right.
Like
Okay.
just looking at it now,
Okay.
like again, I think
Yeah.
it relies more on the musicianship and lyrics. I think it's a really
Hmm.
nice, again,
Yeah.
melody on the guitar, and it's a lot more subtle than the rest of the album.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I agree with you
Yeah,
on that one.
yeah, I totally agree with you on that as well.
Mm.
I put in my notes, I think the vocal delivery's lovely, and I think the acoustic guitar's beautiful as well. But I think the lyrics, yeah, they don't do it for me. I scored it a 6.
Mm.
Maximum score on musicality, and then ones across the board. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Ed.
Mm. Okay. I scored it slightly higher. I scored it an 8. So we've got a
Okay.
6,
Okay.
a 7, and an 8. It is the melancholy part of the song which strangely draws me in. I find that a lot with songs on albums, and I just think it's a very beautiful song, and like you, Ed, I was listening to the lyrics, and that's what I surmised from the lyrics in terms of that certain type of lifestyle that somebody's trying to live. And I found that, the nights become days, how everything seems to sort of merge into one, everything's changing, and I was doing the deep and meaningful again and looking at the lyrics and trying to read between the lines, and I just, as a track, I really think it's beautiful. It's very
Listening to it,
subtle.
yeah, listening to it,
Mm,
then the piano is very similar to what was in I Am Disappeared, which is about dreams, and this
mm,
one sort of grounded in reality as well. So it's quite a
yeah,
interesting juxtaposition between those two songs as well.
yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, for that, I scored it an 8 because I just think it's really, really beautiful. And that guitar as well. It's lovely. So yeah.
Okay, good scoring. So, the penultimate track, folks. We are on to track 11, which is called Redemption.
I was walking home to my house.
So that was track 11, and that was called Redemption. And I'm going to kick this off before I pass over to Ed, because this is my absolute favorite track on the album, along with I Am Disappeared. So I scored this a 9. I just think this is wonderful. It's got everything, hasn't it? It's just got those really beautiful, quiet moments, and then, it builds and builds and builds, and lyrically as well. This feels like a really personal song, and I know you'll fill in the gaps here, Ed, for me, because I don't know enough about it, but I just think this song's spectacular, so I've given it a 9. I think I just scored it 1 for the hook, really, but it's just all the way through, sort of, yeah, it's just wonderful. I love it. So I'm going to pass to you, Ed, so you can fill in some gaps maybe on, is this quite a
I
personal track for him, I guess?
it comes across. I forget about this song quite a lot because I've seen him live so many times. He very, very rarely does this one. So when I come
Oh,
across
okay.
it again, it's like the one before the other thing. Not one I would go to put on, but
Mm,
then when I actually sit and listen to it, quite often I will skip it. But then when I
mm.
do listen to it, I'm just there like, this is a phenomenal song.
Yeah.
Um, it's like a personal confession. He's grappling with guilt and hope for forgiveness, but without religion to grant it, and he's seeking redemption through honesty and self-awareness rather than through some like divine intervention sort of thing.
Mm,
I think it's the darkest part of the album, and it shows this album isn't entirely all happy-go-lucky, and there are times in life we all have those moments where it's just like you've said the wrong thing to someone, and it changes the trajectory of friendship, relationships, and then you spend the time bemoaning the fact that you could have said something a bit different. And again, it's just part of life, I guess. But quite interesting. The song you can link to his next album, Take That Heart, which is about himself. He's sort of like an open book about himself, really, and how he's been like with people, like particularly through relationships. So you could sort of say this song's like a prequel to the album, which covers this song more in depth.
mm.
And I have it here with no, I don't really. But yeah, it's just one of those songs where it's just like it is a phenomenal track, and I've given it
Mm.
a 9 as well, only giving it a 1.
Oh,
I think just on intro, but
yeah.
I always really like just the guitar, like
Yeah.
the chord progression. I think it's a really nice melody
Mm,
throughout, and yeah, it's just a great
mm.
tune.
Yeah. So then, John.
Yeah, I scored it a 10.
Ah,
Hey.
I really love this track.
Yeah.
Um, Sound a little bit Biffy at times.
Yes,
okay.
because we've been listening to Biffy, haven't we, recently?
Yeah, they're having a bit of a
Yeah.
renaissance in our house, and
Yeah.
yeah, there's times that it shared that sort of sound. It's the first track of the album that sort of lyrically resonates with me as well. I
Mm,
think that helped. Um, it sounds completely different to the rest of the album. So yeah, certainly a 10 for me. Really, stopped me in my tracks when I was listening to it. I was a bit, concerned that the album was sort of, finishing on with a bit of a whimper, to be honest. And then this track comes along, and yeah,
mm,
really, really impressed me. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Yeah, 10.
It's cool.
excellent.
Think about you can easily imagine Simon Neil doing those massive screams over this with that chorus right at the end.
Yeah.
Mm,
And I
yeah.
do, as far as I'm aware, Simon Neil is a good friend of Frank Turner and
Oh,
often gives him input on his. He's on one of his albums as well.
oh, I didn't know
Okay.
that. I didn't know that.
So,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, really, really good track. Really, really
Mm,
strong track.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. I'm sorry to say this, folks. We are heading on to the final track, track 12, called Glory Hallelujah.
Brothers and sisters, have you heard the news? The storm has lifted and there's nothing to lose. So swap your confirmation for your dancing shoes, because there never was no God.
I hope neither of you are religious.
That was track
No.
12, Glory
Yeah.
Hallelujah. No, Ed, neither of us are religious,
No.
which is
Just halfway through, I was there like, oh no.
No.
I'll start with this one and then I'll pass to Leanne and then Ed, you can have the final say, given though it's
Yeah.
given it's the last track of the album. It's a really catchy number, and to be honest, I had it down as a 7, but I deducted a point for the double negative because it really winds me up.
Yes,
Why can't
thank
why
you.
can't why can't people use English properly? Never was no God. Well, unless he's being really clever and it's intentional, but I don't think it is.
Considering I know him, I think I'll go for that last
Well,
bit there,
you
just so I don't jeopardize
yeah, I
any
don't.
relationship with.
So if it's intentional, then he's basically saying he believes in God. I'm not sure. Ask him, find out. But yeah, the double negative wound me up, so I scored it a 6. I did give it a 7, but I took a point off purely for the double negative. So yeah,
Right, so it's a 6. So I scored a 7. It's it's got a great hook, which I've given it a 2 for, and for the musicianship, but I've given it 1s for everything else. Um, it's not one that I would put on, if I'm
Mm.
brutally honest. If I was picking a song out of that album, there are multiple other ones that I would choose to listen to. And I'm not religious. I was brought up as a Catholic because my dad's Irish, but I decided to leave the fold when I turned old enough because it was my choice, personal choice. I didn't want,
Don't
but
like red wine.
I don't like red wine. I do now. I just don't drink it at the moment. Yeah. So I kind of did a bit of research about this as well because I kind of wanted to understand where it was coming from. And you can correct me on this, Ed. Sort of like an atheist hymn, almost, is what they were talking about
I've got written
online.
down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So leading into that, what tell us about it.
I've just written, it's a joyful atheist hymn. It's full of
Right.
unapologetic, but
Mm,
ultimately full of love. I think.
mm,
I personally, I don't see it as mocking faith. Um,
okay.
Sort of celebrates the beauty of a godless world. I mean, some people will think that is blasphemy. Um, but I think it shows like meaning comes from human connection, compassion, and life itself, really.
Mm.
And I grew up in quite a religious family. Then I got a paper round and realised, I don't have to go to church anymore. And then, and just some other personal reasons, but I always felt very rebellious listening to this song, and I think that's why I've always liked it a lot. Um, it's got a great earworm. I think it's a fun way to spend the album after a few quite depressing tracks, I think. But I do find there's a slight irony how it's like music itself is quite religious. You've got your churches with like your venues that you love going to, and are always like these ones that everyone should go to. You've got your saints, like for me, your Dave Grohl's, your Billy Joe Armstrongs and stuff, and then you've got your deities who are like your David Bowie's, your Springsteen's, your Prince's, or whatever. Like,
Mm.
so it's similar to like stuff with football as well. Like, even though you don't see it as religious, there are religious connotations to everything, and it's literally a gospel song as well. When
Mm.
you think about it, but the double negative has always annoyed me as well. So I'm quite glad you said that because I've just put at the end. It could be me just being nitpicky, but we'll settle on the
No.
fact that the June.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I love how it bookends the start of the album as well, 'cause the last few chords are the same as the opening chord for Eulogy.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay.
I didn't even realize that. But
And
yeah,
then
that's cool.
I gave this song a 9.
A nine. So what did you score a one on them? What did you mark down?
On the wow bit, I
Okay.
think everything else is quite good. But
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's just never again like it's not one that I'll go to like
Yeah.
straight away. But once it's on, it stays on sort of thing.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's just always sort of been like a rebellious part of me that really likes it.
Fair. That's a
Yeah.
fair comment, I think. Cool. So you gave it a nine. Right. Scores are on the board or in the spreadsheet, as we say.
Okay.
So,
Over to you then.
so I'll do the individual ones first and then we'll do an overall. So this is a bit weird, but myself and John, even though we've scored different on different songs, are actually the same overall, which is
Wow.
kind of weird. So we
Yeah.
are both a 7.67 for the whole of the album, and yourself, Ed, is 8.42.
Wow,
It's
wow,
a good
wow.
score. Good score. So overall, for the three of us, for this guest edition of the Vinyl Union, the overall score is 7.92 for this particular album that he brought to the table. And I think that's a really good score, and I think it's a really good album.
Hmm.
100%.
Mm,
Yeah,
Obviously, I'm
it's
very biased.
yeah, no, it shines quite brightly in times. I've not shied away from the fact I've got a few issues with it, but overall, I think it's a really strong
mm,
introduction to him. I'd like to hear more of his folk stuff, and I think I'll go back and listen to some of his early albums.
mm.
But
They're
I
probably the most
absolutely,
folkiest ones, I think, his earlier ones.
yeah, I completely get the appeal. I take my hat off to him in a non-patronizing way for bringing folk to the contemporary listeners, and injecting it with a bit of rock, bit of punk,
Yeah,
and not being afraid to try new things with the genre. So fair play to him. There's a handful of really strong, really enjoyable tracks on the album.
yeah,
So yeah, thank you for
yeah.
bringing it along, mate.
Thanks, Ed.
You're very
That's a really
welcome.
good album. I'm glad we
I'm
did
glad I
it,
could have come on. I've had a
definitely.
really good time.
Oh,
Good.
good. It was a pleasure. Always is when we talk to you.
Hopefully, I will be on again because I believe me and John do have a score to settle on a particular album.
I
So,
look forward to this.
so I won't
Yeah.
reveal what that album is until I'm on it.
No,
Yeah,
no.
we'll,
But
we'll we'll
yeah.
do we'll do that another time, mate.
Easing in gently, and then we'll move
Yeah.
on to the more controversial.
I was chatting with my
Mm,
partner and I was like, do I go with this one or do I go with that one? And she said,
Yeah,
go with this one first because for me, this isn't my favorite Frank Turner album, but I think for anyone who's not listened to him, it's the
yeah,
best place to introduce him to it because it's got
mm,
elements of what he started his career on as a solo artist, and then just
mm,
the foundation as to what he's gone on to be today, which I think is really a really
okay.
good way of introducing people to him.
Yeah, and
yeah.
just out of interest, if you don't mind me asking, what is your favorite Frank Turner album? I just so I can go and have a listen.
I think it's Tape Deck Heart, which is the one that follows this one.
Oh, right, okay. So I know where to
So
get it then.
that's just
Yeah,
a great album. And then, like I said, I'm quite biased. It depends what mood I'm in,
yeah,
but my
Mm.
go-to would be Take That Heart, I think.
okay. Well, I'll give it a listen and I'll message you,
Yeah,
let you
and he was
know.
very kind as well to do a little video for this as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Yes, which
play that.
we will share on the
yeah,
socials once this has gone live. So yeah,
yeah,
thank you for
yeah.
arranging that for us, which is really kind.
That's really cool.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. But
Yeah,
it's been lovely.
absolutely. I look forward to the next time I'm on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks, Ed.
Thank you
Very
very
welcome.
much.
We shall no doubt try and see you in person before the end of the year. I think we're
Yeah, we
gonna
hope.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
we're gonna head up at some point
Mm,
before the end of the year. So
yeah.
Brilliant.
yeah, so thanks for listening, folks. That was episode 7. The album was England Keep My Bones by Frank Turner, as presented by our dear friend Ed. Everyone have yourselves a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing. And we shall see you next week.
No,
Bye.
Bye bye.